Today on People Now,
Brad and Angelina's surprising split.
Inside the hints of trouble before their divorce.
They haven't been photographed for 2 months. That's never a good sign.
What's at stake in their divorce as their fortune is estimated at $500 million.
Cover boy Michael Strahan opens up about the impact Robin Roberts has had on his career.
And just her saying that and knowing where she is now has made every step along my journey easier.
Plus, Wendy Williams dishes on Rob and Black China.
What woman doesn't want her little girl to grow up and marry a man who she can take advantage of?
Good morning, welcome to People Now. We're streaming live. Count on Wendy Williams to tell it like it is, no matter where she is, even if it's on top of a bus. We've got that to get to today and so much more. Here's what you need to know and what's trending. By now, of course, everyone knows that Angelina Jolie has filed for divorce from Brad Pitt after 2 years of marriage. So now, of course, speculation is running rampant on what caused the former couple split. And while the divorce came as a complete shock to many, some are saying there may have been some hints of trouble. One source noting that the former pair have definitely spent more time apart this year. In fact, Jolie and Pitt were last seen together in public back in July while making a stop inside a Los Angeles Jamba Juice with their daughter Shiloh. And leading up to their second wedding anniversary in August, they had spent a large part of the past couple months apart due to their hectic work schedules. Now, Pitt has been busy finishing new films Allied and War Machine, which both shot overseas. And of course, Jolie has spent a lot of time keeping up with her humanitarian efforts as a special envoy for the United Nations Refugee Agency. In the past year alone, she spoke out in front of a House of Lords committee in London and led an honorary committee for this year's Cambodian International Film Festival. But in addition to their busy work schedules, Pitt has been spotted jetting off to the former couple's estate in the south of France after the pair reportedly has disagreements. A source told People Brad has been coming to Miraval every few weeks in season this year. He has been filming in Europe, and he's come in a couple of times for a couple of days. According to that source, Pitt had flown out of Miraval via helicopter when he made his flag-waving appearance at Le Mans, and most recently, Pitt spent a couple nights at Miraval during the vineyard's wine harvest following his visit to Croatia in early September. And despite Pitt's many visits to the French estate, multiple sources told People there have been no sightings of Jolie this year, with one source suggesting she may not have visited since the beginning of 2015. Now, Jolie filed for divorce citing irreconcilable differences, and in court documents obtained by People, Jolie states that the couple have been separated since September 15th. Pitt made a statement to People saying, "I am very saddened by this, but what matters most now is the well-being of our kids. I kindly ask the press to give them the space they deserve during this challenging time." And Jolie, through her lawyer, also released a statement addressing the divorce, saying this decision was made for the health of the family. She will not be commenting at this time and asks that the family be given their privacy during this difficult time. Stay with us because we have psychiatrist Dr. Ish Major and attorney Jocelyn Davis breaking down the latest on Pitt and Jolie and that split. That's coming up in a bit. Now, Brad and Angelina's divorce after 2 years of marriage is having many ask what is at stake. They are two of Hollywood's wealthiest stars and have a combined fortune estimated at, get this, $500 million. A celebrity estate attorney, Donald David, approximates to People that Brad Pitt is worth up to $350 million and Angelina Jolie is worth up to $275 million. David explains that Jolie has had a smaller industry footprint in recent years, whereas Brad took on more roles in high-grossing films. Donald David tells People that the reason for the disparity is Pitt has a bigger inventory and a higher value and a higher residual interest. Further explaining that the disparity can be a result of Jolie taking a bit of a step back from the big screen. One of Brad's recent blockbuster hits includes the 2013 smash World War Z, as well as, of course, Oscar contenders 12 Years a Slave and The Big Short. Brad, also the co-owner of the production company Plan B, and has starred in big-budget movies over the 3 decades, including Fight Club, the Ocean's 11 series, and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. One of Angelina's recent hits was Disney's Maleficent, where she played the title role. Besides Maleficent, Jolie has starred in the action hit Salt and Wanted, and her voice has been featured in the Kung Fu Panda series, but she recently directed Unbroken and has been focusing more on her own less commercial directorial projects like In the Land of Blood and Honey and By the Sea, which we just saw recently. Now, since tying the knot in 2014, Forbes estimates that Jolie and Pitt have earned a combined $117.5 million. Forbes goes on to report that Pitt brought in most of the income by making $76.5 million, which is nearly double what Jolie brought in during that time period. Donald David explains to People that Brad has been in more films than Angelina and his movies stretch back much further. David says that between experts, high-powered lawyers, and accountants, both stars could shell out up to $1 million each on the divorce proceedings. Legal experts say that Pitt and Jolie likely have an agreement in place, but it is unclear if they have a prenuptial agreement. Jacqueline Newman, a New York-based lawyer who deals with high net worth and high-profile clients, tells People, I would be somewhat surprised if there wasn't some kind of prenuptial agreement. I would think that the financial aspects of the divorce are probably not going to be as difficult. They were only married in August of 2014. It was actually a very short marriage. My guess is that they are going to take the high road, and settle this case out of the courts. Of course, guys, make sure to stay on People.com for more updates on Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's divorce. Moving on to this, Alexis Arquette's death certificate was released on Tuesday. It revealed the actress died of a heart attack and battled HIV for 29 years. The death certificate lists cardiac arrest as her immediate cause of death and says that Arquette suffered from a bacterial infection 3 weeks before her death. Alexis Arquette, the sibling of David, Rosanna, Richmond, and Patricia Arquette, died September 11th in Los Angeles. She was 47. Well, Michael Strahan is the cover of this week's People magazine, and the former NFL star turned TV host is opening up like never before. He even brought along his 4 kids for the shoot, and in the interview, he talks everything from raising a family, his love life, his past, and of course, Good Morning America, and what he's most excited for when it comes to his coveted new role. Take a look at this.
I'm excited about everything there. I mean, my new role is I'm a new member of the team, and it gives me an opportunity to be there more than I have been over the course of 2 days a week now. I've been there full time to have more interactions with Robin and George and everyone else there. And I love it because it allows me the opportunity to be more diverse, to show really interesting stories or things that are interesting, I think, to everybody out there, and do more than entertainment, to do whatever is on the agenda for the day. May it be politics, may it be entertainment, may it be interviews, just the opportunity to do everything, and it makes it interesting for me. It's something totally different, but I've been there for 2 years. I had a taste of it. Now this is just a much bigger taste.
Michael Strahan also goes on to talk about his co-anchor Robin Roberts and the impact that she's had on his career. Watch.
Yeah, she's one of my biggest mentors, especially coming from the sports side where I came from to the entertainment side and now to the news side. One of my scariest moments, I remember being at the Oscars for the first time, and I'm on the red carpet. No one's coming down the carpet yet, but I am so nervous, and I see Robin, and I go over to her, and she goes, "How you doing?" And I go, "I'm really nervous, scared." She goes, "Michael, remember, I came from sports too." And just her saying that and knowing where she is now has made every step along my journey easier, because I defer to that moment with her, and then I have her on speed dial if I need her for anything. And she's been incredible with her advice, and you look at her career and where she's at, and there's no mistake why she's there. She's there because she's, first of all, incredibly talented, and I think she's an incredible person, and I think that goes a long way in everything you do.
And what was Michael Strahan's dream career as a kid, you ask? Well, he is living it now. Watch this.
My dream career as a kid was to get a job so I didn't have to live with my parents. I had no idea. But I almost feel like I've lived it. I mean, football has ended up being a dream. And it was a great 15-year career that I never saw coming, because I didn't play in high school until my senior year. And now I'm living another dream. So, and I think now to go from football, 15 years and the Hall of Fame career, to being on TV and doing what I do now, I have such an appreciation, because I understand I was a guy cutting grass, and I was a guy washing dishes, and I was doing all these jobs that a lot of people don't see you. You know what I mean? You kind of disappear. And to be in the position that I'm in now is very important for me to see everybody, to let everybody know that they have value, and to let everybody know that I'm appreciative and that I've been there, and that just because you're there now doesn't mean that's where you're always gonna be. And I'm a living proof of that. So I don't think I ever woke up and had a dream career. I just wanted to do something that I felt could make my family proud. And I feel like I've done that, and I'll continue to do that. And that's really what drives me to this day. And yeah, that's it. No dreams for me, just going with the flow.
Isn't he the best guy ever?
He is. And how cute was that Pokemon backpack? That's what I'm focused on.
Super cute. And so people talking about Strahan and everybody still talking about Angie and Brad.
More Brangelina. So Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's divorce news shocked the world. Surprise fans are still reeling from the breakup and are taking it really hard. They have a lot to say about the end of the iconic Hollywood couple's relationship. Check it out.
I think it's very sad that they broke up. You know, when any marriage breaks up, it's very sad, especially them for so long, they're connected together. It's very, very sad.
It's heartbreaking because you think these celebrities are all happy, 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 and then you see, no, they really do experience, you know, bad tragedies. And the fact that they're actually normal when they are with their kids is even more sad because you're a great mom, you're a great dad, you both are sexy as crap, and like, it's sad, it's sad.
Man, to be honest with you, if they're getting divorced, I have no hope for my relationship.
Very sad. They were the ideal couple, weren't they, with all the children, and yeah, just a perfect couple, so very disappointed.
Sometimes it lasts and loves, but sometimes it hurts instead.
Well, if anyone knows about breakups, it's Adele. Those lyrics have never been as true as they are now for Brad and Angelina. The Grammy-winning singer dedicated her sold-out show at Madison Square Garden Tuesday night to Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and she meant it. A few songs into the show, Adele asked the audience if she could address the elephant in the room, saying she was shocked by the news of Brad and Angelina's divorce, saying it's the end of an era. She added, quote, "I'm really, really sad, genuinely." Fans naturally blew up Twitter with reactions to her dedication. Jacob Bernstein tweeting, "Adele, in one great note among many, just dedicated her show, 2 Hours of Misery, to Brangelina. End of an era." Tony tweeting, "Adele dedicated tonight's show to Brangelina," with a really beautiful picture of Adele there. And Christopher saying, "Now Adele is leading us all in a group Brangelina breakup therapy session. Also, there are songs." That's really funny. Adele is in the middle of a 6-night run at Madison Square Garden, so we'll see if any other dedications or shout-outs come through the week.
All right, guys, some exciting news. We can't stop buzzing about the new People Entertainment Weekly network. It's free. It's available on streaming devices like Apple TV, Roku, pretty much anywhere you can find Netflix and Hulu. The network brings you shows that tell extraordinary stories and all the headlines and entertainment with big celebrity interviews. And if you miss us at 8:30 or 11 a.m. here on People.com, you can find us anytime on our network pin. And get this, we even have a new show called The Best of People now, counting down the top 10 stories of the week. We have got you covered all the way through.
ABC's hit sitcom Blackish returns for a 3rd season tonight at 9:30 Eastern. It's our Toyota People pick of the day. When I just sat down with star Marcus Scribner, he revealed all the exciting and hilarious things in store for fans this season. Take a look. What can we look forward to in this next season?
There's going to be a lot of amazing things in this next season. I mean, we're going to be tackling some amazing issues like we did in season 2, and what's really at the core of our show, which is handling things that are very important in today's media, but then at the same time making people laugh. So look forward to some hilarious episodes as well. Also, Rainbow on our show is pregnant, so look forward to that dynamic being introduced into the show. Our first episode is going to be at Disney World.
Oh,
super exciting, yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, a very intensive experience. Felt like I was at like a boot camp or something. It was like 90% humidity, 100 degrees.
I've never even been to Disney World.
Oh,
You've probably been.
It's a lot of fun, yeah. But the heat,
Really
I almost melted into the floor.
Well, the season 2 finale was a tribute to Good Times. So are we going to see any other TV show or movie tributes in season 3?
I don't know. I know that us on Blackish, we really like to pay homage to the shows that came before us and laid the path and the foundation for us to come onto television and do what we do. So I don't know. Maybe you guys can expect some great things from us in season 3.
Well, if you had a dream movie or TV show to recreate on Blackish, what would it be?
I really love the Bernie Mac show, so maybe that would be a cool recreation that we could do on Blackish, or maybe Everybody Hates Chris. I don't know.
That would be good.
Yeah, stay tuned for season 3 and find out.
And stay with us, guys. Democratic vice presidential nominee Tim Kaine responds to the late night comics calling him human sweater vest and tall glass of lactate, just to name a few. Plus, how you doing? Wendy Williams tells me. Stick around.
Oh, her eyes make the stars look like they're not tell her every day. You're amazing, just the way you are.
Don't miss all the latest amazing stories right at your fingertips. People love people.
Hey, what's up? I'm Sean T, and your daily focus for today is mental fitness and physical fitness. So today's daily focus is about using your core. You should do everything from the core of who you are. You have to always trust and believe in who you are, so work from your core. And while you're doing that, you can do standing crunches. All you gotta do, hands behind the head, tuck the hips under, exhale, and do crunches just like you would on the floor. I want you to do this 1 minute every hour. You think you can handle that? While you're at work, you get up, and every time you crunch, it'll help you remember to use your core and trust and believe in who you are.
Guys, on Tuesday, Angelina Jolie filed for divorce from Brad Pitt, requesting sole physical custody of their children. Today, a source tells People, Brad thinks Angelina is a great mother, but he is also a great father. There is no way he is going to be absent for any part of his kids' lives. Sole custody for either of them doesn't seem like what's best for the children. This will ideally be resolved amicably long before any sort of legal battle ensues. Now, earlier today, I talked to attorney Jocelyn Davis, who is president of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers, and board-certified psychiatrist Dr. Ish Major, to help break down how custody of the children could be determined. Take a look. Jocelyn, let's start with you. The Jolie Pitt family is known to be extremely private, but Angelina Jolie filed for divorce publicly. Just speaking in general, why would someone file for divorce publicly rather than privately?
She may be making a statement. She is coming out first. She gets her side out. She gets ahead of media speculation, and I think it gives her some control over that. Also, she may want to apply for court assistance and procedures, and it allows her to do that as well.
So several options there for possibilities that could be playing in. Jocelyn, Jolie cited irreconcilable differences as the reason for the divorce, is requesting sole physical custody of their 6 children and visitation rights for Pitt. What exactly does that mean? How does that break down?
Well, there are 2 types of custody, really. There's joint legal custody, or there's legal custody, and then there's physical custody. Legal custody is the right to make major decisions relating to education, medical decisions, religious decisions, and in most jurisdictions, the courts grant both parents that right. Physical custody, on the other hand, can be shared in different ways. Either the children can have a home base and primary physical custody with one parent and visitation with the other, which is a form of secondary physical custody.
All right, do visitation parental rights allow a parent to be alone with the kids? What's the general rule there?
Yes. It's a form of secondary physical custody so that the parent has custody, physical custody, and can be with the children alone during that period of time. It's very unusual that there is what's called supervised visitation, and only under extreme circumstances.
All right, now, Dr. Ish, we don't know why Angelina has requested sole custody of her and Brad's kids, but in general, based on your experience and things that you've dealt with, why do parents typically request sole custody of their children?
Sure, so in general, if that's the case, then what that means is they're not on the same page when it comes to their parenting styles. One parent is seeing something that they're saying, hey, this is something the kids shouldn't see, and they don't want to do that, and so they're trying to protect the kids for something that may be maladaptive.
Okay, so right, and again, we don't know exactly why they're making these decisions. Dr. Ish, Brad and Angelina's children range in age from 15 to 7. How much detail would you recommend a parent give to their kids when they're going through a divorce process like this? Now, obviously, look, this is everywhere. These kids live a unique life, to be sure. But in general, what would kind of be your advice?
General rule of thumb, give them the information they're asking for, right? Kids are going to ask you questions based on where they are mentally, and be honest, because kids have a very sensitive meter when you're telling them the truth. So if they're asking the question, answer it honestly. Blanket statement, if they're too young to say, hey, you know what, mommy and daddy still love each other, but we're not at the point where we're in love and able to live together. And then you go from there, and kids really get that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Jocelyn, back to you. How long does it typically take to determine custody in a case like this?
Well, it really depends on how cooperative the parents are. If that's the case, if they're cooperative, it can be done very quickly. On the other hand, if there are need for assessments, like a psychological assessment, it can take several months. And if there is a contested custody case, it can also take several months.
All right, Dr. Ish, Brad and Angelina have been together for over a decade. The divorce filing is happening after just 2 years of marriage. How does marriage increase the pressure on a relationship? I'm married. I have some clues about what you might say. I mean, you've dealt with a lot of couples. This is something a lot of people relate to.
Sure. Well, because it changes things. It changes the dynamics. If we're dating or we're in a long-term relationship, you're my woman, this is my man. But now if I'm your husband and you're my wife, we have these ideas in our head that that's a different role and I have to be a different person, and a lot of us don't know how to be that. So it's extra pressure, and when you're living in the fishbowl of the public eye, it's so much pressure.
Yeah, you can only imagine how that intensifies everything. Have you observed instances where a couple's relationship was actually, in hindsight, hurt by their decision to get married? Like things were fine, we were dating, we were living together, whatever, but then got married, and that shift did something.
It shifts because the pressure's on now. The pressure's on to stay together. The pressure's on what happens if we get apart. And oh, by the way, I can't really afford to leave, even if I wanted to. And so that pressure can sometimes just strangle the life out of. Now, a lot of times if folks have lived together beforehand, there's no buyer's remorse. You kind of know what you're getting, so they've got a better shot at getting it done. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just no correlation.
All right, now Jocelyn, in your experience as an attorney, what kind of added pressures does marriage put on a relationship when it comes to your end of things?
Well, marriage creates legal rights and obligations, and those legal rights and obligations vary from anything to spousal support, obligations to support. They can also require property ownership, depending on where the couple lives. In addition, marriage creates rights upon death as it relates to inheritance. All those things can put pressure on a relationship.
The talk of Angelina and Brad's impending divorce here it kind of brings it up, and it's an opportunity to talk in general to people about going through this process, which many people do. Jocelyn, what's your advice to parents who are going through a divorce from a legal standpoint? Biggest thing to avoid?
Well, the thing that I would say first is seek professional advice if you possibly can, in order to be able to explain the separation and divorce process to the children. Parents also should not badmouth the other parent under any circumstances. You also, as a parent going through this, have to perceive your children's needs. You've got to pay attention. And really importantly is don't pass adult messages between your children. Don't make children make adult decisions.
Don't sort of they become like the messengers or something like that in a bad circumstance. Dr. Ish, you have 5 pieces of advice for parents going through a divorce. What are they?
Number 1, never blame the parent. Don't blame each other, because guess what? They're still going to be your parents. No matter how many times you get married or how many times you get divorced, you're always going to be their mom and he's always going to be their dad. And so they've always got to find a way to feel good about it.
So separate that. Your feelings about them different from the kids' feelings.
Exactly. You got it.
So that's one.
Don't force the kids to take sides, right? Okay. Remember, these kids are next to get divorced. You did. And so your job now is to protect them from the fallout. And they need to find a way to win and feel good about it, because life's got to move on after this.
Right.
Third piece of advice, never fight in front of the kids.
That's a good one.
Kids internalize. And anything going on with mom and dad, kids are going to blame themselves. A 10-year-old thinks like this: mom and dad are arguing, that must mean I'm bad. If I had just gotten that A when I came home, they wouldn't be happy.
And I think it's hard for sometimes parents to realize that's how they're internalizing it. What's the next
really is. Don't tear down each other's image, especially in a public situation, because now you're going to move on. You're going to do other things, and he's going to do other things. And so give each other that towards an amicable split. Okay. And so the last piece of advice is,
I like this one.
Right? Don't allow your kids to see those poor coping skills. Kids learn by seeing and then doing. They're emulating what you're doing. And so if dad comes home and gets a little hammered after a rough day, oh, that just must be what dads do. And so they're looking at you and they're keen on you as the parent to know how I'm supposed to do, think, and feel moving on. So you got to be a good model for them.
Kind of like hold it together, even if just while you're in front of them.
Even if just while you're in front of them.
Good advice. Thank you very much. Jocelyn Davis, Dr. Ish Major, thank you for your time today, for your advice. A lot of people can obviously glean from your expertise there. And guys, stay on people.com for the latest on that Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie divorce.
I thought it was the best of the night. She's incredible. She's the best dancer. Way better than any of the other gymnasts that have been on the show. So we love cheering her on, and we're so proud of her.
Well, Aly Raisman has a lot of praise for fellow gymnast Lori Hernandez, who is killing it so far on this season of Dancing with the Stars. On Monday night, Raisman sat in the audience for week 2 of DWTS and applauded when Lori and Val Schmirkovsky received a 32 out of 40 for their jive. A pretty bold statement, though, saying Lori is way better than any other gymnast that have been on the show. We can't forget Shawn Johnson won season 8, and Aly herself was on the show, season 16. Here's a throwback of Aly dancing it out with Mark Ballas. She came in 4th place that season. Aly had previously told People of her experience, "We have absolutely no regrets. We worked so hard and we had so much fun, so that's what counts." Well, it's nice to see Aly supporting Lori. And Dancing with the Stars airs Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Well, we have some good news for you this morning. Actress Chloe Grace Moretz is setting the record straight after rumors swirled that she was leaving Hollywood. The actress tells People, "I've been in the industry for 13 years. I just decided to make sure all my decisions make me happy. I'm only 19. I can take it slow." At only 19, there's no need to rush at all. Chloe also opened up to People about her breakup with Brooklyn Beckham and how that isn't keeping her down. Chloe tells People, "One of my best friends just broke up with her boyfriend, so she and I are at a really cute point in our lives right now. I'm like, we're being each other's husbands." Well, it's nice to see that Chloe is doing just fine. Well, tonight, another very exciting season of Big Brother comes to an end. So when Jeremy and I just sat down with Big Brother host Julie Chen and her fellow talk host Aisha Tyler, I asked her what makes the reality show hit so addictive. Take a look.
Just watching human behavior and decisions, tough decisions people have to make, and whether they're going to put greed ahead of everything else or love ahead of everything else and kiss goodbye $500,000. I just find it fascinating.
I'm fine admitting to my mistakes.
Thank you.
So my apologies.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's
I really
very
do appreciate that.
big of you to do.
Natalie has been playing a really innocent and ditzy game this whole time.
It gets tough to break through, and then you start to realize how real some of the relationships are,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, because there's always critics of it.
We've
showmances this
Okay.
season.
We've had 3 marriages come out of it. One of the marriages, the people got married, they weren't even a couple in the house. They barely knew each other in the house. But once you're in this group, you know, this rare group, people bond outside of the house. We could be enemies in the house, and then when we get out, we become like best friends.
Julie Chen, Love Doctor. I mean, that's just
Were you
matchmaker
saying
way
that
to-
there are more relationships that have come out of Big Brother than out of The Bachelor?
Yeah, lasting ones. We've had 3 marriages and 2 kids, 1 baby and another baby on the way.
Which one of your co-hosts on the talk would be the best at Big Brother?
Sarah Gilbert.
You both already knew.
Oh, yeah. A fierce little fighter.
Yes, and she is
competitive.
So competitive, but then she has this kind of innocent quality that I think she could really inveigle herself into every single clique and have them all think that she was on their side.
Very crafty.
Yeah, she's strategic.
In a great way. We all love
Not
her.
sinister, but just
Who would be
thoughtful.
evicted first?
Oh,
probably.
Aisha. We played a 4-hour version, us hosts, and she was like, wait. So how does this work? And I'm like, first of all, can't tell everyone that we just said we're going to vote her out.
I was just having fun hanging out. I would be that person where I was like, wait, what?
You're gone.
Yeah.
That's it.
Love them. They're so fun. And those are your Star Treks for today.
Thanks, Andrea. The Say It Like You Mean It talk show host Wendy Williams is back in full force with season 8 of her hit show, and I recently had the chance to sit down with Wendy on her very own decked-out double-decker bus, yes, complete with a wardrobe and all. And while I was with her, I had to get her take on some of the most buzzworthy headlines from the past few months. In true Wendy style, she didn't hold back. Watch what she said. Rob Kardashian and Blac Chyna having a baby and their own reality show.
I saw the first episode. I'm not checking back in.
Okay.
The only winner in this entire situation is Tokyo Tony, Blac Chyna's mom, because what woman doesn't want her little girl to grow up and marry a man who she can take advantage of?
Okay, Ryan Lochte scandal. Protesters storming the stage at Dancing with the Stars. What do we think?
You know what? He was wrong for what he did in Rio, but storming the stage is a bit much. However, now he has an out, which he can say, oh my gosh, I'm so emotionally scarred, I can't continue.
There you go. Orlando Bloom, nude pic surfacing on vacation with Katy Perry.
Well,
Bod?
No, I'm not checking for him like that.
All right.
But I will say, I found there to be nothing wrong with him nude swimming. They were in Italy. They probably thought they were alone, And those damn zoom lenses.
Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez Instagram feud. He's like took it off. She went after him a little bit. What do we think, Justin and Selena?
I think that that he's hurt her bad.
Yeah.
And she's hurt him some, but he's hurt her bad.
And it shows, right?
And it shows.
Okay.
All right, so the presidential election will be here before you know it, and people sat down with Democratic presidential running mates Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine to talk about everything from new things they've learned about each other to facing Republican presidential hopeful Donald Trump. Kaine even reacted to some of the fun nicknames he's been given: America's stepdad, tall glass of lactaid, and human sweater vest. Check it out.
Well, I hadn't heard the human sweater vest, so that may be my new favorite. But somebody asked me that, and I said, I'm well prepared for this because I have three 20-somethings who have been basically making fun of me their entire life, and I've heard more challenging than that. I'm very well prepared for it.
I love the way, once Tim was introduced to the American people, they immediately understood here is someone that we can relate to, that we feel comfortable with, who we believe is on our side, who will take care of us. And honestly, what more could you ask? I mean, to me, that is such a high compliment.
Well, and that wasn't all. Did you ever wonder what Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine's strangest jobs have ever been? Or what music really pumps them up before they go out on stage? I know I'm definitely curious about that. Watch this.
Strangest job, sliming fish in Alaska, and it well prepared me for running for president.
Baseball coach for 7- and 8-year-olds, which gave me great patience.
Right now, Hamilton. The soundtrack from Hamilton is my new obsession. I don't know all the lyrics, but I know some, and if I get enough, concentrated time, I hope to learn more.
Peter Gabriel, Replacements, Midnight Oil, Sly and the Family Stone. You can pick any of those, and I'm going to be very, very happy coming on stage.
This is Jennifer Lawrence in People. This is Jennifer photobombing Taylor Swift, and Sarah Jessica Parker and Liam Hemsworth, proving that while we all love the fashion of the red carpet, it's people who steal the show. People. The details make the story.
Guys, on Tuesday, when news of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt's divorce first broke, I sat down with People executive editor Kate Coyne to break down what we know so far about the story. Take a look. People has obtained a statement from Brad Pitt saying this: "I am very saddened by this, but what matters most now is the well-being of our kids. I kindly ask the press to give them the space they deserve during this challenging time." Angelina Jolie also releasing a statement. Her camp was released a statement saying Angelina Jolie Pitt has filed for dissolution of the marriage. This decision was made for the health of the family. She will not be commenting at this time and asks that the family be given their privacy during this difficult time. I'm joined now by Kate Coyne. Kate, thank you for being here. Let's talk about this. What do we know so far about the story? We've got the statements there. What else do we know?
I mean, it's a huge shock to everybody, including people like me who have been watching this couple closely since they first got together. When a couple has been together for as many years as they have, even though they were only married for 2 years, they've obviously been together for a very long time. 6 children together. You think that in this day and age, everyone's jaded about a Hollywood romance, and yet everyone does seem genuinely stunned by this news.
So a source close to the couple tells People that this is a complete shock. And that same source claiming that Brad has escaped to France over the past year. What's going on there?
They have a home there.
Yeah.
They have a home there. That's where they got married. It's a home that especially Brad, an architecture buff, holds very near and dear to his heart. A lot of restoration work went into it. So it's not an illogical place for him to go to in terms of wanting to lay low. I mean, they managed to pull off a wedding there without anybody knowing. So it's obviously situated in such a way that if you do want to try to escape the press and go unnoticed, it's a great place to go.
There are reports that the trigger here was a conflict over their children, that Angelina is now asking for custody of their kids. Let's talk about that, the breakdown in the statements.
So this is actually contained within the divorce filing, and what she's asking for is essentially sole physical custody. She's conceding joint legal custody. So they will both have the same amount of rights to make decisions about the children's future, about their schooling, about medical needs, about anything like that, they would be legally equal. But in terms of physical custody, she is asking for that to be hers alone. And, before people read too much into that, some of that may simply have to do with the lives they lead. She travels a lot. She still makes films. She's directing more and more. She goes on a lot of humanitarian missions. And if she's unable to bring her children with her, to accommodate her hectic schedule, it might be hard to do a sort of standard joint custody, 1 week with dad, 1 week with mom agreement.
When mom and dad are on other sides
when mom
of the
and dad
world.
are all over the place. And so, her thinking may well be one person has to have the main physical custody because they're going to have to adapt to wherever I'm going and what I'm doing, and we'll work out visitation with the other side whenever possible.
All right, that makes sense. Brad and Angelina, anyone who, like you, has reported on them for quite some time, they know how to deal with the intensity of the spotlight, right? As a power couple in the public eye. When it comes to their family, they know how to keep a lid on things when they want. They release little bits here and there when they so choose. Their wedding was the best kept secret in the world. So what do we predict in terms of how information about their divorce and as this rolls out, do you think they'll be pretty tight-lipped? Will this be something that they continue to come out with more statements?
I think in the wake of this news, they will control the information very, very carefully. These are not people who, if you look back, for instance, on the end of Brad's marriage to Jennifer Aniston, they each gave statements about their sadness, sort of like what's happening here.
Right.
And it wasn't for quite some time until everybody involved, including Angelina, ultimately gave lengthier interviews in which they let some information slip out about falling in love on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, or just how Brad had felt like he wasn't really being true to himself in his first marriage. These are little morsels that they let drop much later and over time. And so, I think eventually people did get a pretty clear sense of what had happened in, let's say, Brad and Jennifer Aniston's marriage, but it took years and years in the making until everybody felt comfortable and had enough of a safe distance to talk about it. And so I think that it wouldn't be surprising. I mean, this will not be the Johnny Depp divorce. There will not be mudslinging. There will not be crazy, wild accusations being made, in the immediate moment. I think people might try to make some accusations, outsiders, because everybody wants a smoking gun. Everybody wants to point at something. But I do think in the short term, what we will consistently hear from both of their camps is that, this is a parting of the ways, and it's a sad one, but it's not necessarily catastrophic.
All right, what do you make of the timing of the divorce filing? 2 days after a big event like the Emmys. Anything to that? I've heard people talking about. Yeah, what do you think?
Incredibly savvy. A Tuesday morning announcement is savvy on many, many, many levels. It's after many magazines have gone to press. It is after the Emmys, when many people could have been asked on the red carpet about them, including Jon Voight, who was a nominee.
For sure,
that is, he would have been a prime target had this news been out there. If you look at the divorce documents, you'll see that the date of separation is listed as September 15th. So if they had filed on September 15th, that would have given people plenty of time to get their stories ready. And so this was absolutely a very savvy, very calculated move to try to minimize the amount of coverage that this announcement would get.
Sure, and one more sort of point in the case of them being very savvy with generally how they roll out information. Rightly so. Good for them for being able to do that. As recently as August, their second wedding anniversary, came and went. Sources told people that Brad and Angelina were as happy as ever. The source said that life as parents was getting easier with the kids getting older, more self-sufficient, but the couple, as it turns out, hadn't been photographed together for more than 2 months leading up to this. Do you know if there were any rumblings of trouble? Is this completely out of nowhere?
So the rumblings come from the fact that they hadn't been photographed for 2 months. That's never a good sign. It pretty much is almost never a good sign. And so that was pretty much the full extent of the rumblings. Everything else indicated that they were quite happy together. I mean, the fact is the last real project they worked on together was a film in which they co-starred and played a miserable married couple who were at each other's throats and essentially hated being married to one another. in hindsight, you could maybe see that choice of material as a red flag, but and they made it essentially on their honeymoon. They also made that film on what was, in essence, their honeymoon. But by the same token, there were never really rumors that somebody was, stepping out or about a third party. That was not something that we had been hearing over the past few months. It was mostly focused on the fact that they had not been seen together.
Very interesting. I think for many people, as we're saying, it does come as a surprise. They've been together for so long. Especially when it comes to a superstar couple. It's in many ways, it felt like they'd gotten over sort of that initial hurdle and they'd been together so long previously. Their marriage and getting married was so well crafted and thought out, and the kids participated in the wedding. We remember all those great stories about making it really a family event, a very special, private, small event. It just seemed like they kind of had the pieces in place for what is otherwise a life that is just shared with everyone in the world in the spotlight. But when it comes to people in Hollywood, in the industry, how would people describe Brad and Angelina's relationship? Did it seem internally in Hollywood, in that community, like a bit of a standard bearer, or maybe something that...
I think certainly, because there's another element that hasn't been mentioned that much yet, and I think it will get mentioned more in the coming days. One of the reasons that people, I think, believed them to be so rock solid was, you cannot forget the tremendous health crisis she went through, and he was by her side through that. So when she broke the news of her double mastectomy, and then not that long ago also of her hysterectomy, he was the man that was by her side, that was her champion, that was still making her feel desirable and beautiful and loved, who was still singing her praises about her strength and her courage. The level of commitment that they showed to each other in the wake of that incredibly grueling experience, really experiences, more than one, I think cemented for a lot of people this notion that they really had weathered the worst that could be thrown at them in a lot of ways, and come out the other side.
Last year, Brad and Angelina, we mentioned this, it co-starred in By the Sea. It was directed by Angelina, of course, and as you mentioned, it centered on a couple trying to repair their failing marriage. Jolie directed the film. They worked together for months and months. As what you mentioned, it was something sort of like their honeymoon. But now that, let's revisit that a second when you look back on it. I remember there being sort of almost cheeky, funny headlines about the content of the movie and whatever, like, oh, what does this mean, whatever. But nothing really came of those headlines at the time, and now you look back in hindsight and wonder if there was maybe more in the core of some of those.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to laugh their way through it, and I have a feeling that many more people are going to go back and watch that film now in the wake of this news, and maybe we'll try to read between some lines. But, I don't think, clearly with this much at stake, with the lives of 6 children being impacted, I think it would be a little too simplistic to point at a film and say that that's what caused, a rift. What's interesting is, though, it wasn't just roles they were playing. She was directing it. She wrote it. So this was a film that she, that very much was personal to her and came from a very personal place in her own life. Now, she had said that it was in part influenced by the fact that her parents had divorced, that her parents had a notoriously awful marriage. But you do have to wonder at what fuels somebody to throw themselves into a project like that and to cast their own husband as the spouse in it. It was certainly intense. It was not Mr. and Mrs. Smith Part 2, which I think
was not.
A lot of people might have been hoping for.
Anyway, and yeah, you look at that and you kind of wonder if in some ways, because they've been so busy on different projects over the same course of time, if it was almost an attempt to continue the work, but yet, stay together, maybe work through some of the things they've been going through. Who knows? Here's the question for you. Moving forward now, a day like today, the news breaks. It's a huge sort of big moment. What do we predict? How are things going to play out over the coming days based on what you've seen happen in the past?
What I've seen happen in the past, I mean, it will go one of two ways. If Angie and Brad stick to their scripts and stick to what they have said they want this to be, which is, privacy to be maintained. That's what every couple in this situation wants. And this note of mutual sadness. It's a word we're hearing a lot from Brad's camp, how incredibly sad this all is. This could perhaps be, a fairly clean break. It is rare, however, that sources close to, that other outsiders, that people with something to say will not begin to float theories or ideas about other things that could have been involved. And it just remains to be seen whether or not enough noise will build to lend credence to some of those theories. I can tell you right now, one theory that's been circulated quite a bit is the idea that Brad's upcoming co-star in the movie Allied, Marion Cotillard, is somehow a third party in all of this. Various outlets have reported that there are rumors of an affair on Brad's part. We now have it on very good authority that a source close to the situation says she is not a factor. This is not a Marion Cotillard situation. So already that's one rumor that's being put out there. I would be stunned if there are not more to come. It seems, sadly, as if quite often there are, but it remains to be seen what new twist is right around the bend.
Well, we see photos of them on set there together. It's the kind of thing that, you know, it's almost like in that furious, like looking for something.
Exactly.
Oh, they were together.
He's starring in a very sexy movie with her. She has an Angelina-like quality. The trailer, you know, has gotten a ton of views just because of how steamy it is. It's a logical, natural conclusion that bystanders would jump to, but sources close to the situation say it's really not true.
There we have it. Thank you, Kate Coyne. We really appreciate all the info. And guys, of course, you can stay on people.com for all the latest on this story.
This is Jennifer Aniston, who told People her beauty secret. It's called water. This is Julia Roberts, who confessed her $1 million beauty treatment. It's called sleep. This is Courtney, who escapes to the spa. And Michelle, who swears by good lighting. And this is Beyonce, who woke up like this. These are People's insider trading tips to beauty from the world's most beautiful. People. The details make the story. Don't miss this week's People.
Coming up tomorrow, guys, we are back with Teresa Caputo as she gives us a major sneak peek of the new season of Long Island Medium. She is entertaining from start to finish. And singer Katie Tunstall is opening up about her love life. You don't want to miss that.
Well, thanks for watching. And for now, we leave you with one last thing from Notorious star Daniel Sunjata. Enjoy.
See you guys.
Hi, I'm Daniel Sunjata from ABC's Notorious, and this is one last thing. The last TV show I binge watched would have to be True Detective Season 1. And I think I might binge watch it again. The last time I forgot a line was the last time I was on the set of Notorious. I try every day to be better with that, but I'm getting old, people. I need some ginkgo biloba.